Hello, welcome to Word Empowerment Seminar this beautiful Thursday evening. My name is Murphy, but I'm the lead pastor of the Cornerstone Church and your regular host on Word Empowerment Seminar. For the past 3 weeks, we've been discussing dealing with conflicts in relationships, especially in marriages. And today I want to take it a little bit further and discuss how to manage and embrace emotions and vulnerability in a conflict situation. Now look at this. In the book of Proverbs chapter 15 verse 1, I'm going to read it from the Passion Translation. It says, "Respond gently when you are confronted, and you will diffuse rage, the rage of another. Respond with sharp cutting words will only make it worse. Don't you know that being angry can ruin the testimony of even the wisest of men?" I'll read it again. "Respond gently when you are confronted, and you will diffuse the rage of another. Responding with sharp cutting words will only make it worse. Don't you know that being angry can ruin the testimony of even the wisest of men?" Today I'm talking about emotions in marriages and in relationships. We as human beings are emotional beings. We're emotional beings, and it takes, our emotions are very important. I was reading an article that your emotions are actually faster than your thoughts. The way you feel actually faster than your thoughts. And in Christian circles, we can be taught, or we have been taught, or you might have been taught that your emotions are not relevant. But your emotions are very relevant, especially in dealing with conflicts. A man and a woman we all have emotions. We are all emotional beings. Men are emotional beings. Men cry also. You get what I'm saying? Men cry also. And the way we handle our emotions in marriages actually help us resolve conflicts. First point I want to make here is this. Don't let your emotions control you, but understand your emotions. Don't let your emotions control you, but understand your emotion and understand the power of emotions. Emotions determine how you behave, in the sense that you can get into a very bad mood even if you don't act outwardly. Internally, your mind will be very, very, very distorted, that you cannot even think clearly because your emotions were stirred in the wrong way. Also, if your emotion is stirred in a happy way, what happens that you become even more clear, you think more clearer, you think much better. So that's the power of emotions. So if you understand your emotions and know how to communicate your emotions very well to your partner, you will see that you will resolve conflict. Because the truth is this: most couples go into marriage madly in love with each other, except from a few. And I acknowledge that there are a few that just go into marriage for different reasons. But most couples go into marriage loving each other. So men love their wives. Most men love their wives, and most women love their husbands. That's why they get married. But because of the life's issues and the way emotions rub off and conflicts come up, we tend to now forget that we love ourselves. But if we learn from the beginning to understand our emotions and know how to manage our emotions, we will know that we'll always have that love springing forth, growing more and more. So how do we do this? First of all, you acknowledge that your spouse has emotions and you have emotions. You and your spouse are emotional beings. So the way you act triggers something in your wife, and the way you act as a woman triggers something in your husband. So let me say this here. The second point is communicating those emotions and not reacting to the emotions. The challenge most of the time is that we react to the way our emotions are triggered. But we need to learn to control our reaction and communicate our emotions. Let me give you an instance. My wife talks to me in a certain way. I feel that she should be more responsive to me. It triggers an emotion in me. Most likely, it triggers an emotion called shame or feeling insignificant. That is, those things I called now are what they call primary emotions. Primary emotions are vulnerable emotions, and those are the things that cause that cause pain. But if primary emotions are not controlled, it can lead to secondary emotions, and secondary emotions are the reactive emotions. So you need to learn your emotions in the sense that, for instance, that shame I felt as an emotion actually can make me trigger a secondary emotion of anger. Then I now lash that anger out to my wife. Don't you know that I'm the man of the house? But look at it this way. Once you can identify that it's not anger that is the first emotion you felt, and it's actually shame, you can communicate that emotion and say to your spouse, as a man for instance, do you know the way you spoke made me feel ashamed as a man? Now imagine the response of your wife to that statement compared to the way you let that emotion trigger to the next level, which is anger, and you react. Don't you know I'm the man of the house? Now the key is this: being able to identify the emotions that you are feeling. Most times we react. Anytime we react because our spouse does something or behaves in a certain way or withdraws something from us, every time we react, and there are different kinds of reactions. Every time we react, either in an attack format or in a defensive format, both of them are reactions. Every time we react, it is as a result of a secondary emotion. Because most times we are ashamed of our primary emotions. A woman, for instance, can feel she doesn't love me anymore. She doesn't love me anymore. What is that telling her? That she needs someone that will give her attention. That feeling can actually, if not handled, can make you now behave in a certain way. That when the man comes back, the way you react to him, the man will be wondering, what have I done to you? Did I do anything to you? Because sometimes men are that confused. What did I do to my wife today? But what she was feeling is actually that, man, I need to be loved. I need someone that will give me attention. Now imagine if you didn't react that way of giving him cold shoulder, giving him all those negative vibes, and when he comes back from the office and say, see, my husband, I need someone to hold me. I need someone to listen to me. Can you be that one? Do you know that it's going to give you a different reaction completely? So your emotions actually determine how your conflicts will escalate. If you know how to identify your vulnerable emotions. But nobody wants to say, I need love, basically, because you feel ashamed. But you shouldn't be ashamed with your spouse. You are naked and not ashamed. So communicate your primary emotions. Because if you don't communicate your primary emotions, it will lead to secondary emotions which are reactive. And once you react with a secondary emotion, like anger or like resentment, what happens is that it affects the relationship. So this is a skill to identify your primary emotions and communicate it. So the first thing you have to understand, going back to the beginning, the first that you need to understand that you and your spouse are emotional beings. From your own point of view, understand your primary emotions. Now, to the other person, understand that the person has an emotion, and when they communicate their emotions to you, react in a way to suit that emotion. That is what love is. That's what relationships are. And the process of this, when something happens, maybe you react, maybe an issue that makes you angry as a woman or as a man, and you communicate to your spouse how that made you feel, that actually is vulnerable, makes you feel like, then I'm not man enough or something. You get what I'm saying? That kind of feeling. Or the woman will feel, why should I express this to my husband? Because the husband will look at you in a certain way. See, in marriages, we are naked and not ashamed. So learn to communicate those feelings that you have that makes you feel vulnerable to your spouse, and you will be amazed how that would cause your spouse to even love you more instead of reacting negatively. So look at what the Bible says, and we'll end with that scripture. Respond gently when you are confronted. Now, if your husband, for instance, comes back with a reactive emotion, also, how do you feel? Respond gently to that reaction. It will calm the woman down, or vice versa. But learn to communicate how that reaction made you feel vulnerable. So, honestly, marriages will be sweet if we understand our emotions and we learn how to manage our emotions and we don't react with our emotions. In marriages, it will be sweet, and we communicate, because the premise is this: husband loves the wife, wife loves the husband. People are madly in love with each other. You don't want anything to hurt your wife. You don't want anything to hurt your husband. You don't want your husband to be. It's interesting how in marriages, especially Christian marriages, we don't want to hurt each other, but we keep hurting each other. Why? Because we don't communicate effectively. So know this: men are emotional and women are emotional. And when you start understanding your emotions and communicating your emotions, especially your primary emotions, not reacting with your emotions, but communicating your emotions, your vulnerable emotions, you realize that because you love each other, we will start making adjustments so that we will not rub each other the wrong way. I don't know if that helped you. So, number one, know that your spouse has emotions and treat your spouse in a way that you will not trigger the emotions in a negative way. Then two, you understand you have emotions and know how to communicate your emotions. The key is this: communicate your vulnerable emotions, the one that you are shy to say to someone. Those ones, communicate them to your spouse. Because your spouse loves you, it will cause your spouse to act in a certain way to help you overcome that feeling. The person will change. I believe that's from my heart, because I've experienced it in my years of marriage. Thank you so much for joining today. This is Word Empowerment Seminar. You can watch us every Thursday on YouTube or Facebook. And if you're ever in Enugu, join us at the Cornerstone Church every Sunday by 8 a.m. and 9:30 a.m. I can tell you, you will be transformed, you will have light, and you will experience God if you join us. If you're not in Enugu, please do well to subscribe to our channel and click the notification button so that you can always get information when we are live. God bless you, and may your best life be your daily experience.